Welcome back, everybody. This is part 3 of my Clockwork Empires Revision 40 series. My name is Alfred. The latest version of Clockwork Empires went live a couple of days ago. So I've just been, I spent the first couple of episodes just talking about the new stuff. And from this point forward, I'm just going to play. I'm going to play through the game. If for some reason you're tuning into this episode, this is part 3 of like a 4 or 5 part series. So I would humbly submit, perhaps you should watch episode 1. Let's see. What kind of favor? Don't need food. Can't afford soldiers. Actually, let's take the aerial surveillance prestige favor. Let's get back to the colony. So I've got the ceramics workshop under construction. I've already got a source of clay over here. So once facilities for making bricks are finished, I can dig up this clay and make some bricks. So Obeliskians. Early on in the game's development, before the cult mechanics were basically toned down for development, once your colonists got crazy enough, once they went insane for any number of reasons, there are many ways your cultists can go insane, they would form cults, they would walk around in purple robes, they would wander off into the forest and build shrines, and if things got bad enough, individual cultists would undergo an eldritch transformation and turn into Obeliskian servitors. So you may have seen those. Those guys look a little bit like these guys, except they were cubes, like 6-sided cubes with one glowing green eye on each face and dangly tentacles underneath. Those are Obeliskian servitors. These ones, the ones that look like obelisks, are Obeliskian Horrors, and they can be encountered on the map. So I'm going to make a point of trying to encounter them and get it in on this video. Now the ceramics workshop superstructure has been completed, so I have marked off the clay deposits here for collection, and now it's time for me to install some modules in here so I can make some bricks. How are we doing for commodities? So again, the stone ceramics kiln is cheapest but least efficient, and these other ones are, increasingly expensive but quick. I don't have a lot of brick in stock, so I don't want to use up all my brick making the brick facilities. So I actually can't build any of these more advanced kilns, so I'll just build a couple of these stone ones. If by holding shift click and clicking, I retain the module I'm trying to place, so I can place multiples. I really only want to build 2 right now. And we'll let that get built. So I'm noticing Henry Golden Crumble is really angry. I noticed his angry walk earlier. Now colonists have their moods will be reflected in their stance, and so you've got the neutral walk when a colonist is not particularly happy or sad. You've got an angry walk, and Aubrey Mind Widow here is showing us an example of the sad walk. Where did Henry go? Here we go. So, let's take a look inside Henry's head. He is an angry, angry fellow. He's most likely one of my criminal immigrants from earlier. He's angry, unenthusiastic, but sane. Now, one of the contributing factors to his anger is his lack of sleep. Many of his most recent memories are of being tired, and he made an enemy, and he was attacked by Fishmen, I think? So he hasn't had a good time of it in the colonies. Oh, what's this? Oh, I can reevaluate. Oh, Fishman. What's going on here? Oh! Okay, gonna pause the game here for a second. So, if you'll recall, in episode 2, probably, I think it was, we decided to take a non-aggression footing with the Fishmen, which means we have to put up with them hanging around town and making our colonists crazy and destroying our crops, but I don't have to worry about fighting them and they won't attack me without provocation. And another thing they'll do is they'll occasionally walk by with gifts for the colony. So here's a Fishman with a gift of a bushel of scrap iron. And this is the Fishman. All Fishman leaders now wear hats. This guy's wearing a hat that looks like a puffer fish. He's brought me a bushel of bones. How thoughtful. So, I have the opportunity to reevaluate my policies towards Fishmen. So Shelby Woodworth has been intimidating wandering fish people. I don't know. I'm just going to say only shoo them away if they're causing problems. Let's try and make friends with the Fishmen. Yes, so what I was saying earlier about Henry Golden Crumble, was that a lot of his memories are of being tired, which reminds me I haven't built any beds. So my colonists have been getting by, presumably they've been sleeping on the ground or indoors, but the quality of their sleep is not good, and what I really ought to do is build a place for them to sleep. So I'm going to build a bunkhouse. There we go. I wonder if I have enough, no, I've got plenty of resources. Although I could probably use some more finished planks. Let's see how many beds I can afford to. So I've got 6 bolts of, every cot requires a bolt of cloth and some planks. So I can build 6 for now. I don't know, probably can't even fit 6 in here. That's fine. So, at least one of the ceramics kilns has been finished in the brick house, or I should say the ceramics workshop. So, let's queue up some bricks, a small amount of brick. So we'll assign a crew here. Let's say this will do for now. 12 bricks into the stockpile. Because each of these orders produces 3 bricks, it will consume 4 lumps of clay. I'm going to double check the work crew menu here though. So it's okay for the cooks to do nothing but cook. But, just pause here for a second. Once again I'm going to flip all of the workshop filters so that when my brickmakers aren't busy they can be doing other stuff. Okay, another bandit wishes to defect. Sure, why not? I've accepted Cordelia Yake. What's going on here? Ah. So, the faction, formerly known as Cordelia's Tough Yakes, has... Okay, pausing the game. The bandit faction, formerly known as Cordelia's Tough Yakes, lost its leader because Cordelia Yake herself decided to join my colony. So, they've chosen a new leader, Quincy Yake. Now, so far the colony has received 3 Yakes as deserting bandits, which implies, which I take to mean that they've all come from the same bandit crew, which means Quincy Yake is probably the last bandit. That's just something you can infer. So I've got, most of the Yakeses have decided to join my colony. That's all I'm saying. I'll receive the usual 2 immigrants here. Oh, here they are. Oh no, they're both aristocrats. Poet and... oh my god. I got a shipment of poets. Probably trying to keep the poet population down on the home country, I guess. And here's Cordelia Yake incoming. So, poets. Well, actually this will be a good way to illustrate the colonist dynamics. So here we have a list of every colonist in our colony. Every person is of lower, middle, or upper class. The upper class colonists, also known as aristocrats, cannot be assigned to work crews, so they won't appear on this menu. All overseers are middle class, and anyone in a work crew who is not an overseer is considered lower class, the laborers. So if we look at our upper class colonists, the two poets who came over on the same ship, they do their own thing. They will never do jobs that are on the job list, but the specific thing they do depends on the specific type of aristocrat they are. So upper class colonists include capitalists, poets, and I'm sure there are a couple I'm forgetting at the moment. So poets, they will seek inspiration, they will wander the countryside in the hilly dales and compose poetry. Literally, that is literally what they do. I'm just going to take criminals for now. I think I'm able to feed everyone. Yeah, the thing about poets is that because they spend so much time away from civilization, and they tend to encounter fishmen and giant beetles and deathworms and Obeliskians, and they help you explore a little bit because they're always on the fringes of the map, but they tend to go crazy, which is not good for anyone. However, they will occasionally also produce poetry, which will increase the prestige of your colony. So, you know, good and bad. Unfortunately, you also have to feed them, and they also demand places to sleep. And colonists prefer to sleep... Oh, what's this? So here's a fish people event. Smugly Badger is terribly upset with my policy of friendship because he hates fish people. So the question becomes, actually let's see if we can find Smugly. Do I want to continue my policy knowing that it's pissing a specific colonist off? And let me actually see if I can... Smugly Badger. So he's an NCO. No, he's not. He's an overseer. Huh. You know what? Smugly, you're going to have to take one for the team because I think relations with fish people are a little bit more important than your happiness. Now, you'll know... I'm going to pause the game here for a second. I'll point out that Smugly Badger has the xenophobic personality trait, which means he tends to react badly to filthy foreigners and also fish people, which probably contributes to him being unhappy with the status quo. So my decision to maintain peaceful relations with Smugly will likely make him angry. This in turn will contribute to his mood. It might make him persistently angry, and that might affect his relationships with other colonists. He might get into arguments with them, or it might just make him so mad that he decides to break my stuff, like kicking my precious piles of pipes or getting into fistfights. Well, tough luck, Smugly. Our new policy will be, or our continuing policy will be to stay the course. And so we can see here at the bottom, I have chosen to ignore Smugly's recommendation. And here they are, digging up the clay for bricks. I see we've actually made a fair amount. Oh yes, well that's what I was going to do. I need some more planks. Let's say, that's a good amount. So, the fish people we noticed earlier, they had left some presents for us. For instance, the mysterious cube of flesh. I don't know what it comes from. I can't cook it, No one wants to eat it. But the Fishmen decided to give it to us as a present. I guess that's good. Also a bushel of sand. Ironically, what we might consider the least valuable of their gifts is probably the most useful. Sand is necessary. Sand is vital in the production of glass. So if I click on the ceramics workshop here, in addition to making bricks out of clay, you can also make glass, but that requires sand. The only place you can find sand on your own without the assistance of fish people is at a beach. That is where the land meets the water, and I don't see a beach anywhere. In fact, the beach, or the shoreline, is typically quite far away from your colony location. So the fishmen are actually doing me a big favor by hauling in buckets of sand. In fact, maybe I'll make some glass right now. I have 2 bushels of sand. I'm going to make 2 glass panes. Glass is necessary for like very high-level buildings like the laboratory and modules like the macroscope. How are we doing for jobs? Okay, I think we're doing okay for now. So here we are, it's day 8. Colony is still humming along nicely. I actually just accepted the defection of Quincy Yake, who as it turns out was the last member of the Yake gang. So one by one the entire Yake bandit gang has joined our colony, which works out for everyone actually. I don't have to kill attacking bandits, and bandits aren't stealing my stuff. Now I've built one more stove into the kitchen because I think we need to ramp up our food production capacity. We've still got plenty of raw food, but it's not being cooked fast enough. So I wanted to cook in greater numbers. Cabbage stew is still our highest priority. I'm going to say maintain a minimum level of 5 cabbage stew. Everything's mostly built. They're handling jobs well. Alright, so I think this is a good place to build a mineshaft. It's got sphalerite and hematite here. I could just mine up these nodes, and in fact I might do that. But one of the changes in version 40 was a change in the way the mineshaft module functions. So I am going to build one of those. Oops. Before I build the module, of course, I have to build the building. So any mineshaft built in proximity of existing mineral nodes will produce that type of node or type of ore as product. Let's get some doors in here. Case in point, hopefully, once I build this mineshaft here, here we go. So we can see in the bottom right, the game will now tell me this particular mineshaft will produce 4 hematite, 4 sphalerite, and clay and clay. Well, okay. So it will produce more than 10 things before it stops working. What it's telling me is those are the probabilities of the things it will produce. So of these 10 items, the production of the mineshaft will be 40% hematite, 40% sphalerite, 20% clay. And you'll notice it doesn't produce anything else. So it doesn't produce sand, it doesn't produce peat, it doesn't produce copper, or I should say not copper, malachite. If I want malachite, I could build a mineshaft over here. Oh, look at this fine fancy fellow. This is the Fishman leader. He's wearing the latest fashion, the latest underwater fashions, the diving helmet. It's even got a little bit of like seaweed sticking out the front porthole. And oh, the Fishmen have brought me buckets of sand. So although it's all well and good that Fishmen are not attacking me and they're even bringing me presents, unfortunately their mere presence tends to unsettle my colonists. Right here's Vesta Brazenwood running away from Fishmen. See, this memory is an unpleasant memory. And in fact, she is slowly going insane. And she's had a conversation about the strange allure of the sea. Where do fishermen get pants? Anyway, so the mineshaft is under construction. We have no problem with resources. Just let things run for a while. Here we have, oh, what's this? Oh, these are the Stahlmarkians. And they're hostile. But my soldiers are up to the task. We've driven off the Stahlmarkian scouting party, I guess. I have to say, they're not terribly effective fighters. But I do like their fancy blue uniforms. So now I have a number of corpses on the boundaries of my colony. One thing that happens with human corpses is that colonists, they're upset by the sight of human corpses, but they will take it upon themselves to dump them outside of town, which is what Shelby Quibble is doing, for instance. Shelby Quibble has taken up the dump corpse job. Also, he has many memories of fleeing from danger. Yeah, so colonists will eventually clear offending material, like corpses, out, so they don't have to look at them all day. Oh, poet incoming. So here we are, about halfway through day 9. I'm having some Fishmen problems. So Fishmen have been destroying my crops, and I have an opportunity to change policy. Here's a Fishman leader throwing a temper tantrum. He actually brought me a present. He brought me, that's beetle steak in his arms. Or raw beetle steak, I should say. Oop, he's gone invisible because he's entered the fog of war. Just pausing here for a sec. I do not intend to change Fishman policy. I don't want to make enemies, so I'm not going to shoot them. I'm actually going to try diplomacy. We'll try to use words to explain why breaking my stuff is wrong. And while we're here, we can see there's actually a mineralogy report. Okay, so if we look at these nodes, for instance, these are unrevealed mineralogy reports. There are obviously surface nodes, but a naturalist has not yet visited them to produce a report. However, the example up here, even though there's no apparent surface node, one of my explorers, or naturalist, has visited and explored this area and submitted a report. If I build a mineshaft here, it will produce coal. So that's an example of the reason you should feed your naturalists. They're no longer just useless drains on your food supply. Now the mineshaft is coming along nicely. The building's built. We're just waiting on the construction of the shaft. And in the meantime, I've constructed an airship mast up here. Just in case I do take any sort of airborne drops, supply drops, they'll land, safely out of town instead of injuring my colonists or breaking my stuff by landing in the stockpiles. Alright, well, the colony's humming along nicely enough. The mine has been completed and has even started producing some of the appropriate ore types. I've got some hematite and some sphalerite. I've got the chapel under construction, and I've also got a fully equipped metalworks, also under construction. We're having no problems keeping everyone fed. One thing I might need is more beds, but to make more cots, I'm going to need flax and a textile mill. But I have planted the flax fields, so I'll have bundles of fiber ready to go whenever I get that built. Otherwise, I think the colony is okay for now. I apologize for not finding any Obeliskians this session, but unless you want these episodes to be like an hour long each, I have to cut them off somewhere. Maybe next time. There's always a possibility of Obeliskians tomorrow. Well, anyway, thanks very much for watching this one. This has been my Clockwork Empires Revision 40 playthrough. This was episode 3. My name is Alfred. The game's in early access, available on Steam and on the developer's website, that's Gaslamp Games. I hope you found this informative. Well, have a good day.